Everybody has their gift.
Everybody's got their thing.
Yep.
All right. All right, should we start?
We got enough peoples, right?
I texted
Yeah.
Christie too, we'll see.
'Cause we only need 5, right?
We only have,
Only need 4.
Well, we're
You're
over.
good. You got
we have
Wow.
6 total,
Okay.
or do we have 7?
fancy one.
I remember that conversation.
Tell you about it later.
Okay, anyway, all right, let's call the meeting to order. Any additions?
Some deletions, if we could.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, under new business, park master plan update.
Yep.
I do not have that from Stockwell yet. And then summer PE program, we don't have an update on that quite yet.
Okay,
I don't anyway. Did anyone else have any?
I would like to add Snow Hill, and it's just a brief question, it won't take long, but I think it,
Snow Hill,
yeah, or Sledding
Like
Hill.
Sledding Hill?
Yeah, Sledding Hill.
so why don't we make that,
H? or-
we'll move it on, but it would be H on this agenda.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Didn't miss anything. Just,
I mean, we have no snow.
all right. Visitors, no visitors, so we'll move on to the minutes, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, just to vote on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I get a motion to remove letter A and letter D and add H, Sled Hill?
I approve, or I motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All right, now we can move on to the, no visitors to be heard, so we'll move on to the minutes of last meeting. So, maybe just take a glance at those.
All right, I'll motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. All right, we'll move on to the reports. So Trey has a report, it looks like.
They're all under new business as well, but, so softball have some more information, baseball I do, and mostly want to talk about concessions at the end as well.
Sweet.
Okay, so
And
Yeah.
also the coaches' gifts, from the city were really appreciated by several people that reached out to me, so.
We'll make sure we do that in future years. I don't know if we've done that before.
Now-
Don't get me wrong, it's a fair amount of work to handwrite all those, but, and deliver them, but I think, yeah, it was appreciated, that's good.
You can
Well
all do
worth
that
it.
next time.
yeah, we
Yeah.
could help with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that like in
Yeah.
November meeting, just
Yeah.
pass the cards around.
Yep.
I had one respond and tell me that out of 20-some years coaching, he's never gotten anything, and that was kind of shocking, so he was very, very appreciative.
Awesome.
Well done.
Good. Okay, so we'll just move everything, because everything will be talked about during the new business. All right, so then we'll move on to Westerman Park Playground.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hold this up here a second. So at the last meeting, I forwarded the playground catalog we've been reviewing to all of you. At this meeting, my goal is to obtain some guidance from the park board with regard to desired equipment and features on that new playground. So just some questions to consider. I'm sure there's plenty more, but do we keep all the existing equipment outside the playground area, like the swing? I can't remember what else is all over there. With all that older metal equipment, the spider, yeah. What features do we have to have on this? What would be nice to have and aren't necessary? So I just want to open it up for some discussion so we can start nailing some of this stuff down and get to work on shopping for some of this stuff.
Any of that metal stuff, I think we need to probably get rid of it because it's a lot of bill. I mean,
If it isn't already, it will be at some point.
yes, so.
Not
It's
the
not,
swing
it's
though,
not,
right?
it hasn't been.
No, like the crawling
jungle
things,
gym
yeah,
thing.
the
The fun
spider,
stuff?
yeah.
It hasn't come up on any of our insurance visits yet.
Right.
But if I remember right, about 6 years ago, the old playground, well, longer than 6 years ago, the old playground was done away with for that very reason. And I'm sure that's been many, many years, but I remember the playground was actually still in the wastewater plant, behind the wastewater plant when I got here, so I don't know how long it's down there. Other thoughts on that stuff? Is everybody kind of in agreement that stuff needs to go?
Yeah.
I think the swings should stay.
Yeah, the swing, yeah, that's, yeah,
No reason to spend money on a swing.
no.
I don't, do we have to have like a, I don't know what you call
ADA?
it. Yeah, like a different swing added there?
We don't have to there because it probably didn't apply at the time. But if we are going to add swings, we would have to make it ADA compliant. So anything we have does not need to be modified.
Okay.
Though I would encourage you to be supportive of modifying
Right.
for inclusion.
Right.
Anything new that we have does need to be ADA compliant. So like the new playground at West Evergreen, that's going to have a sidewalk up to it. And the mulch is made to be ADA compliant, for example. There are ADA compliant features on that playground that kids that are not mobile will be able to play with. And we'll make sure that we have the same thing on this, so.
So we're pretty much on agreement getting rid of the spider and the jungle gym thing, but we'll keep maybe the swings.
The
What about
little
that?
swings, are those okay? I've honestly never used them.
I think the baby swings,
Yeah.
Baby swings are
the
okay?
two of them,
Yeah,
I think are okay.
okay.
I see kids swinging on it all the
Yeah.
time. I mean, you go by, there's always kids swinging on them.
They look newer than the other ones. I don't know when they would have been put in, but they look like they're in good shape.
We could put it down when we do our spring walkthrough, to look at the swings, and if we need to replace them,
Two baby
then we'll
swings,
get,
like,
North of the,
North of the main swings?
no, north of like the playground area.
Okay.
Kind of like a
It's-
tree.
It's really
Like I said,
close.
It's really small.
I used to see this stuff
Really
every single
close
day that we lived over there,
to
and
the
now it's like
playground,
a
yeah.
foreign concept to me. I don't remember the baby swings.
It's just like a little T,
yeah.
and then there's a
Yeah,
swing on
okay,
each
yep,
side.
perfect, thank you.
like a clothesline.
Yep.
So can we start just throwing out wish list items here?
Yeah.
Cause I went through the catalog and I picked a lot of features
Nice.
that I thought would be cool.
Okay.
I just took screenshots of them, but
If you
So-
can email those over later too,
Yeah,
that'd be helpful.
sounds good. So like the ADA thing is a good consideration, and then, I know we talked a little bit about what we're putting underneath it. If it's possible to do the
Rubber mulch.
rubber mulch or whatever the nice padding is underneath it would be good. And I know we talked about maybe setting up, so in my brain, I have it set up, if we could do, we talked about maybe like more of an teenager adult fitness kind of section. A section for like kids, maybe 5 and, to whatever. And then a smaller section maybe for like toddlers, preschools.
Yep.
But I have, like I said, I screenshotted a bunch of the different, like the climbing things.
So we're looking at more like the a la carte options,
Yeah,
not necessarily the big features.
unless we can like tell the company, we'd like a climbing feature such as this, and maybe, I know that they have a swing where it's like the disc swing that kind of, it's like a new age tire swing, if you will.
Yeah.
Kids seem to love those. The little like zip lining
Yeah,
thing,
that's a big.
love that. So, but like I said, there's a lot of different, like a few things to climb, a few things to ride, a few things. They have some kind of
Ways to
new,
burn energy off.
yeah, neat, like merry-go-round type things that are, you can get both ADA compliant and that are safer. So spinning
And the
things.
wheels of death ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember when you hook it up like a moped?
The things we did.
They have like really neat climbing walls, which I know kids
Yeah.
love. What was the other thing? Oh, and the other thing too is to think about maybe is some shade and benches when considering. I know there's a lot of trees around there, but it seems like
Well,
that
there
spot.
were.
Yeah.
There used to be
There used to
more.
be a
too.
lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like that spot, that sun just beats down
Yeah.
there. So I know they have a ton of shade options that go over these playgrounds now, which would be nice.
Yeah, I get some of those fabric ones over the top might not be a bad
Mhm.
idea.
Yeah,
Is that, we applied for, either one or two sizable grants for trees this past fall. It'd be great if we get those, but it's gonna be, many years in the future before those trees are providing,
big, yeah,
substantive amounts of shade, so.
yeah.
If you had the nets over top in certain areas, foul ball protection during games, then you don't have to be as.
Vigilant?
Right.
Or if you extend the net on the backstop to be taller like the
I think
other,
that's gonna.
that might help.
Probably helps some, but some of those are still gonna go over.
Yeah,
But I like the idea of separating it into 3 different zones. Then that way the little kids don't get run over by the tweens, whatever, and they have like their own little place. It's easy to regulate.
Yeah, and the school has, like the double swings where, you sit on each side and they
Kids
both
love
swing.
those.
They love those. And then the other thing, there's a lot of in there is things that make noise. So like the musical,
Yep.
whatever, that type of thing.
On the music, one, there is a grant out there that I've been looking at, I haven't really talked to Byron much yet, but, over by the band shell, where the municipal band plays, I was thinking about seeing what it would take to put in like a musical park section.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
You got winds, you got chimes, you got all kinds of other stuff you can do out there. I don't know, but we've got room over there for something like that, I think it would fit in well.
Well, and especially if you got things going on at the shelter, it's a place for the littles to go, so they're not, and you can still see them.
Right.
do you think, I like the idea of having those 3, but do you think that's going to break up the budget so much that we're gonna have very little here, very little here, very little here? And it's, we're not gonna have anything to show for the same amount of money
Yeah.
when it's all said and done. I just don't know.
Well, and that's too, like, I have no idea, like, this doesn't really have prices, or I didn't really
And
look
nothing
at
in there
prices.
prices.
So, it's free, awesome.
It's all free.
I was gonna say, I mean, we could go crazy with the neat stuff that you can get, but,
There's other options out there, we're not, Cunningham, I think, is the one I sent everybody, or Game Time. American Playground has a lot of stuff out there, and I think you can even build a quote based on what you're looking at. Like I said, we budgeted 50, which is not going to be enough. So we're planning on pursuing several grants, and to do that, I've gotta have an idea of what we really.
The thing is too, though, I see, like I was just looking at different parks, going on different park pages and stuff, and there's a lot less of the big monstrous climbing systems in people's parks now.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody hardly has them anymore. Now it's all individualized stuff. So it isn't like that one big $50,000 piece in the middle and nothing else. So, I mean, if you
Okay.
split it up, I don't,
And I like
I
the
know what you're
idea
saying.
of it, I didn't want it to be
right,
three chintzy
Right.
looking things,
right.
Right.
So
and maybe we
realistically-
missed the mark on
Well,
it.
I think the little kid section and the other section can be the same section, but just have like a somewhat divider, and then the workout could be a separate, I mean, because those two, a parent's gonna watch, you're gonna want them fairly close, because you usually have kids in multiple groups, so.
Okay.
For the getting rid of, what about that tiny shelter thing
Yes.
and Bob's?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's just going to be taken out. I've not heard from anyone that says that thing needs to stay for any reason whatsoever. Quite frankly, it's just a
Trouble.
place for kids.
The one closest to the baseball field.
Yeah, and pretty much kids are just staying on that one thing to write on
Yes,
the other thing.
yes.
Very kind, loving messages.
Yes.
Makes
typically.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at some of these other options, there's places, some at $350,000, there's smaller ones at 30. I mean, it's just all over the board, so.
So if we could do like a medium size, like centerpiece.
Yeah.
And then add some of these other features, and then if we run out, then in the future, we can
We can
budget to
expand.
add to
Yeah.
it.
If you have
We've got room.
this much money,
Yeah.
do you do 2 of the 3 really good? And wait and do that third part that we want later, or do you do all 3 of them to a certain degree, and then you gotta add on to, that's, I guess, what my question would be.
I would think you would do
it right the first time, even if it's
Yeah.
not doing it all.
Yeah, I would say
right away.
2 of the 3 and the kid stuff first,
Yep.
And then the fitness part you can add as you go or whatever, that's, that would be easier to adjust stuff to than, oh, look, now he's got another
Yeah.
slide, and they gotta figure out how, so.
Well, why don't I take this and start building something out, and then maybe come back with 3 proposals for the next meeting. And if everybody's good with what we have there, then we can start applying for some of those grants and
Okay,
see what we can pull together for this year.
Perfect.
Thank you.
all right, next, on to the recreational plan, trail expansion.
So in your packets, board members, you'll find an estimate for expanding the recreational trail from its current ending at South Blaine all the way to West Evergreen Park. Total cost is $1,150,000. That is in your packets, right?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Oh, last one. So Mitch and I have talked about, what the best way to do this is, whether we do it in 1 phase or 2 phases.
This one?
Oh,
And this is the estimate. So it also requires us to acquire some property, which isn't ideal considering the fact that we did already pay to expand that culvert at Cleveland Avenue, so we wouldn't actually use that expansion that we've already paid for. That being said, it's probably cheaper to do it this way than to use that, and we will find other uses for that culvert in the future, whether that's going to be, bike lane or, anybody that knows Cleveland knows that it's already narrow.
Right.
So it's probably not a bad idea for us to have that already done,
Well,
for
and
for when we do take that over from the county, and we need a wider urban section than the current rural section.
and that bridge wasn't new.
No, no, it needed to happen regardless. And we needed it to be done regardless of whether we were going to do this, so. So yeah, it would require us to acquire some property, and I don't, again, we don't know how that's going to go. If that wouldn't happen, then obviously we'd have to build a bridge over Long Creek again at Highway 44. That would significantly change the cost. There are 2 main grants for this program. There are others as well, but 2 big ones are from, so the first one that we've used in the past is DOT's Transportation Alternatives Program. That paid for trail along both highways. Maximum grant is $600,000, requires an 18.05, yes, 18.05 not just 18, not 19, percent match. Because there's a state highway there, that would be a really good stretch for this grant. Game Fish and Parks also has a trail program. I didn't find a maximum grant award, which was a really good sign, but does require a 20% match. So let's say we're gonna do this all at 1.2, plan on spending about $1 million bucks, or $200,000 on our side, I should say. So the program would be a good fit for Cleveland due to the natural habitat along Long Creek, and some of the other natural areas that are along there. So, like I said, it does not include the crossing across Long Creek. It's not necessarily wasted, but that was the original plan. There is nothing budgeted in 2024 for this project, and I anticipate adding the project to the city's capital improvement plan next year, even if it's just one phase of this.
Yeah.
One note is that DOT does not like to have this trail not connect to anything. That's why it ends up laying right now. So if we were to do this in phases, we'd probably want to come south from Cleveland first, so that DOT had something to connect to when they get to that point. In terms of funding for it, I would probably look towards second penny fund, so that's our sales tax fund. It's been getting healthier and healthier over the years. We just talked about this the other day when I started here, and 5 years ago this month, our second penny revenue, which is half of our sales tax revenue, was about $300,000 a year. And this year we're going to clear $600,000. So in 5 years, that's doubled. And I don't expect that to slow down significantly. So, that continues to grow regularly over the years, and I think that's probably the most likely funding source for our match or our funding on this, whether that's in cash or from a sales tax bond in the future. So I think the first step is going to be real estate. I mean, if this is something you guys really want to do, I think we need to start talking and making those moves. Even if it doesn't happen this year, at least we start those conversations, so that in 2025, if we do want to go for the grant later this year, we're set up for that. We already have the property acquired and can make it work.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's talks that we need to have with the property owners to see where they're
If
at.
it's even an option.
Right, where they're at, yeah.
I think with their long-term plan, I can see this working quite well, because they don't have a plan to go that close to Long Creek. You'll see on here how things are kind of laid out already with the westernmost streets of Long Creek Park. And I think just in terms of maintaining a waterway and a drainage way, I think it does kind of make sense for the city to have control of that section. Creates a little more work for us, but when we look at like 4th Street and Harrison and Blaine, those are all supposed to be paved in 2025. And we're supposed to add storm sewer to that neighborhood, which is badly, badly needed on the west side. That's all gonna go down this right away and into Long Creek.
Yep.
And I think it's important that right now the county has that right away. We can clean out the ditch at their request or permission if needed. But all of our storm drainage on the west side is really gonna flow that direction. So it probably makes sense for us to have control of that at some point anyway.
Well, and like I brought up before when we talked about this, if it goes this way, you can make a little fishing area, and that will help get those kids off the bridges. You see these bikes sprawled in random places.
Scares me.
I'm not saying that they won't, but at least there's a trail where they could possibly
Yeah.
go the right way, I mean.
Park their bike.
Right.
Put a bike parking.
Put a
area
bike
bench
spot,
over
yes.
there. I forgot to mention two benches at the playground. We've got requests every year for benches, so I honestly don't know the last time the city purchased a bench. They all come in as donations at this point, so somebody wants to order a memorial bench, we'll help them find a place to put it. We've been encouraging having a few more in the actual park at this point, not so many along the trails. So. And I assume the same thing would happen here. There's plenty of people that would donate for a bench over here.
I mean, I think the trail next to the park, if they're looking for theirs, that's an incentive for their property. They have people coming in, they have access then right there. I know if I was moving in there and I'd be like, oh, the kids can go right onto the bike trail instead of having to cross the highway or.
Yeah, now the
Cut
kids
down.
can come from that area and they can go to school.
Yep.
they can go to either of the parks at that point.
Yeah, so I think it's well
Easy to
worth the
get.
conversation with the landowners.
All right, any,
I would, if I could, just recommend a motion to request the city council. It says here, purchase all necessary real estate to expand, begin process. To
Well,
purchase.
I'll motion for us to start the negotiation processes to possibly acquire land.
A second.
okay, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next, on to the softball league. Update.
Softball update is that the T in Harrisburg League right now would just be 8U, 10U, not the 12U yet. So we would need to decide if we want 8U and 10U to do that, and 12U, 14U stay with the Southeast if they are okay with that, or SEPSA. Or keep all of it still with Southeastern League.
I think move whatever we can to T Harrisburg, because that's the future of what
What's the
works.
reason for not?
They just didn't have it set up yet for,
So they don't have a 12U yet.
they don't have it
So
for
it's not
their,
that they're not taking our 12U.
correct. They don't
just
have,
don't.
their T in Harrisburg's 12U, 14U go to SEPSA.
Okay.
So I was trying to convince them to at least go up to 12U for that, for our sake, but right now, it's not gonna happen for next summer at least.
I assume 12U at that age is getting pretty competitive.
Right.
So CESFA is where they would go
Sure.
anyways.
Makes sense.
Okay, so the softball,
What are our numbers for 12U? I know 14U, we have one.
I think last
We
year
had
was
three.
We had three
12U,
12U teams
two
last year.
10s and 3 8s.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So what, how about though in that league, what are the numbers like for 12U and 14U?
For the T in Harrisburg,
No, for the league that we're in.
How many towns?
Like, is it worth staying in that league for the competition for those age groups?
I know it was hard, like, some of the teams would end up playing Beersford, but I couldn't schedule all three of us against them because they only had one or two,
They had one team.
or one. So it was hard to,
That's my question. I just don't wanna run into the same thing we did last year
right,
with these teams if we're not gonna be able to have the competition anyway. Now, I'm assuming Seth, and you know more, like, I've only been at the 10U level, so I don't know anything about that.
Well, with CESFA, it's all set up by that league, and so you can play any, like, the girls can join from any town and be in one team, it's not just towns.
But
So-
can you join as a town?
Well, you could, yeah, you would just,
You can.
the coach enters the team in with the
Yeah.
roster.
so we would still make our teams how we do,
Okay.
and then I would send all that over to SEPSA, SESFA?
SEPSA.
SEPSA.
Yeah.
SEPSA,
Southeastern.
whatever that is.
Student-
And then, they would do all the scheduling and everything from there on out, and they have all the comps and all the,
Can you set ability or like,
I believe there's
so
different
that we're not
levels.
playing, yeah.
There is, but they don't follow it.
It's
Okay.
A, B,
So-
and C, and then
So,
there's a
and
rec.
it's just like,
And a what?
Right.
And
Right.
rec.
but it's just like Big Sioux. There's quite a few teams who say they're in a certain thing and they're not. And SEPSA didn't do anything about it. One of the reasons.
So is
about
it
Like,
better
that's
to
what I
have
was
They
teams
asking.
to play?
yeah, they destroyed everybody. They
If
just-
they've got these different levels, is this an opportunity for us to have softball tournament teams then? Have the rec side and then have a tournament team for each age, just like we do
So-
in
I
baseball?
wouldn't see
If
why
If
Maybe-
you,
not.
maybe
if
that's
you
our
wanted
chance to
to,
make
I
that
think
happen.
that makes more sense than moving them all. For the fact that some of the parents are just having their kids into something, to have them into something, and they don't wanna pay the fees that it would be for SEPSA for their kids who are picking flowers out the field. But they're the ones, so if you had a team of more competitive ones, that would probably make more sense. I think.
Because it's one of the comments we've received over the years is, we don't have.
No.
I'll once again make clear, I don't like the fact we have tournament teams and all.
No.
But if we're going to do it, we, we've never done it on the softball side, maybe now is our chance to make that happen.
I mean, with softball as a high school sport, it doesn't hurt now. I mean, there's actually a focus for, like before that, there was never that focus of, after you've done summer softball, there's nowhere for it to go. Because a lot of these people weren't paying the, whatever it costs to be on these elite teams that travel over the country. They didn't want that, so.
For a lot of years, there was fall ball.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
and it was a club sport.
Right.
And we always had, I mean, a full JV and
Yeah.
high school
Yeah.
roster.
It'll be a good
So at
participation.
least, yeah, and
Yeah.
then now with this, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, besides 3 months out of the year, these girls are playing softball, so I don't see why we would try and hold them back.
So in that way, if the parent wants their kid to be in like a SEFSA league, then they just understand it's gonna cost more than it will the other, because it's considerably more. I mean,
Was
you're,
it like more than a baseball league?
Is it like?
it's like $100 a kid to,
So it was,
yeah.
it was, from what I was kind of doing with research, it was pretty much we wouldn't make much, but like in the.
no, so when we did it before, we made zero.
Right,
It went all the money because it was so expensive, and then there was t-shirts, so there was no jerseys, nothing from Lennox. All the equipment, everything was from Zepsa. And then they gave us crappy equipment, and then we had to buy our own equipment, and then henceforth we moved.
So it sounds like you had a bad experience with them.
he did that there, yeah.
Well, no, but I was in charge of all the groups, because I was the softball guy. So I was in charge of all the teams of all the groups. They were all like that. I went through all of our equipment. We got all the bad equipment. And then one of the persons up at CEFSA was like, "You're just Lennox. We don't care." When I went to ask about it, like Sioux Falls teams first. So,
We are setting our fees for all programs at next week's city council meeting, and we are increasing fees, we haven't done that for like.
So what are
like
they
4
currently?
years.
Between like 70 or 60, maybe even down to T-ball, up to 110.
I was gonna say
14 was
that.
I think it's more than that, yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
was
I
120,
thought-
and is
so I was like,
CESPA
is it-
150 now? I don't remember.
then CEFSA's more than that.
I don't know if do they have their 2024 numbers
I-
yet?
I have to look. I remember looking at their other one. So I mean, it
So,
was up there.
soccer 35, AU baseball, sorry, I'm gonna read the current prices. Soccer 30, AU baseball 50, 10U baseball 90, 12U baseball 90, AU softball 50, 90 and 90, 14U softball 125, excuse me, 100, T-ball 40, ball soccer 40, sand volleyball 110 per team, pickleball 55 per team. And we're increasing those a little over 20%. Actually, I went back to 2019, I didn't see any record of any changes going that far back. And I think we
Yeah,
kept
I don't
that
think
some
we-
with
We are lower than like TN.
We are, yeah.
Like $20 to $50 probably per level.
But if you're looking at, 110 per kid to register in that league, and that's without a doubt a money loser for us, we would have to adjust those fees further.
Yeah.
We've never, and I'm hoping to do this next year, we've never taken a profit and loss analysis for any of these programs. It's probably time we start doing that to make sure we're getting these fees correct, before we get bigger.
Right.
So then also by doing something like that, we're losing concession.
Yep.
Yeah, cause
Maybe.
now we only have
We couldn't have.
8
Which is
and
fine.
10 U games,
Yeah.
Right?
right?
I mean, I
Oh,
know,
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
We would lose out on that revenue.
Although from what I
I don't know
understand,
what percent.
concessions
We
weren't
we don't-
open a
yeah,
lot.
I don't know what.
right, I
percentage.
just
During
was
that,
like, we're
right?
not hosting games anymore.
wasn't there a lot of
I don't know,
getting
I
I
find
don't
it-
know what went on over there.
This year was
Yeah.
solid.
So this year.
Okay,
this would
maybe
just
it was
be-
2 years
this would
ago
Just be
that-
12U, 14U softball lost concessions.
It is.
But we had good,
But,
I
so
think we had
Team
good
Okay.
Harrisburg,
concessions
we
this
would
year.
still play
Okay.
games here?
Yeah,
Okay, I thought
Team
we were,
Harrisburg League, we would still do traveling
so
between
we,
towns.
okay, I was under
But
the
not
impression
with
that we,
steps.
Right.
Right.
okay,
Correct.
Because with
Okay.
CEFSA,
So
they
we
have.
said-
So
that.
12U and 14U would still,
If
It's
it's
all
all
Sioux Falls.
but that would be lost concessions, but 8U
Yeah.
would actually be probably more concessions.
Yeah, because it-
Yes.
it's
they don't
actually
have
a
They
that.
league,
never did,
right.
right, okay.
Yeah, 'cause in
I
order to,
misunderstood.
in order
I
to
thought we
host,
only went there.
No, so Teen Harrisburg,
Okay.
we would all go, we would have home and away games.
so in order to host SEFSA games, you have to have, it was ASA, now it's USA umpires, certified USA umpires that go through the SEFSA's course, so you gotta pay to have all that done, gotta pay to get them through SEFSA to get them certified, to come and do the games, have home games. So, and then if they don't, so if you have an umpire that doesn't show up, whatever, you can't just have somebody fill in, games are canceled. So I mean, it's,
I looked up the fees for SEFSA for 2024 is $125 per person for 12U and 14U.
yeah,
How long
Are we
ago?
pricing people out by,
you'll price some people out, cause there's people that will not, their kids will not play SEFSA.
Yeah.
They just, that's not why they're doing sports. They're doing sports to hang out with their kids in the summertime. They're not going up there for the competition.
Is there a way?
And then if you, oh, sorry.
Sorry, like last year with 12 or 14U ended up interleaguing a little bit with that interleagues down in Sioux City.
Yep.
Maybe not like go to Sioux City, but they had Yankton and Vermilion. Like, is there a way that maybe we could reach out to them and see if we could get them to interleague with us here for those two towns?
Mm-hmm.
Cause that would add some.
Cause it's Beersford in Southeastern.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I have a
Beersford's
friend.
a cutoff.
Okay, I have a friend who, her daughter, maybe they were in more than one league, but she played all of our teams in Southeastern, but they also played Vermilion, I think a Sioux
From
City
Beersford?
team.
Yeah.
Their Beersford
Yeah,
team
they-
played those.
They were able to play both where they're
Yeah.
located at, so then they went and played some of the ones down there too, so.
Yeah, so maybe if we stay in Southeastern, can we schedule some games that are not league games necessarily with,
So that's what we did with 14U. They called it interleaguing essentially, and because we were so late, they were looking for more teams. They didn't charge us any fees to join that league, and so we played probably 8 or 9 different teams down in Sioux City this last summer. But then of course we had to drive.
yeah, and I think the only real downside was, I mean, the lateness of the schedule, but then the drive down to Sioux City, and they're great facilities, but it's
Yeah.
a drive.
And starting the year on time with interleague, you might be paying fees to two different leagues then.
Correct.
But that's why I didn't know if we could reach out to maybe Yankton and Vermilion and
Right.
see if they would be willing to play with us and if they were willing to do it back and forth.
Right.
Is the general sense a yay or nay on SEPs?
Seems a
I
little,
think we start with
rough.
a May.
Yeah, I mean, if
Try
there's,
tournament teams maybe?
if people wanna have a more competitive group, travel squad or however you know, and they wanna go up there, that would make sense.
Wait,
For one team, you know,
but they
but
still have to play
they would have
Parks
to,
and Rec.
no, they would,
Cause
It would
that's
be-
what we force
That's what we do now.
everything else.
yeah, it'd still be through Parks and Rec.
I
Well,
understand
no,
that conversation.
They'd have to play on a Parks and Rec team before they can go play on a tournament team. As far as how
No,
we
no,
do
no,
it now.
no, they'll play league through SEPSA, is what I'm saying.
So they
They
would.
would do that separate from us.
So league through SEPSA, through us, we'd have one team that would go up there, the rest would go down, that team would pay more. You know, they would just go in knowing.
So would
I don't know
that
if
be
you
the
want something
tournament
Are
like
team?
there other tournament options or no?
You can just enter tournaments,
There's a
It's way
general,
cheaper
but
than
when you
baseball.
do it, you
Yeah.
have to do it like,
early.
I'm talking January,
Yes.
February, March.
January
Or their
tournaments
fall.
start, yeah. They start opening up tournaments in January.
So that's the downside. And 12U maybe,
I
but
don't even have my
and
New Year's
14U,
resolutions
I
by
know all of those girls were talking about going to Sioux Falls this next year. So I don't even know if you'll have a 14U team if we did through Southeastern, just to be honest. I can't coach that team, my daughter's too old, but that's just what I've heard through. the
Is
grapevine.
14U to a point where we don't offer it in Park and Rec? Not to be mean, just if we're losing all our kids anyways, do we just kind of promote that? Like, hey, at this level, maybe, I don't know.
And by that, grade level or age, they can play on the school team in the fall, right? Or spring, I guess it would be. So
Not-
they have an
not-
option
Not that I
there
want to take
already.
away option for kids to stay here, but if it's already happening, do we just
So
promote it so they're all together?
Now we go up to what age in baseball?
12.
12U?
12U.
So I mean, is that gonna be our cutoff then for,
Good. If we do it for baseball, we might as well do it for softball.
Cause Southeastern only had.
Well,
4
we-
towns.
Right, and we're not getting teams to play anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
in that older age group, all those little towns lose a lot of their kids. They really do. So after 12U, it's 14U and 16U, it's almost impossible to find.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, I could see that.
I mean,
But
well, at that point, what would be the difference if we got
Right.
rid of them just because we don't offer it here, or they go up there, or they go through CESFA or whatever, so.
Yeah.
And if we get enough that stay for a league, we barely have teams to play against anyway.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah,
The only thing I don't like about it is since we are doing school softball now, you might see more people coming up wanting to play with their same, instead of going off to Sioux Falls teams or whatever, playing summer ball with their team that they play
Right.
spring ball with.
And
Instead
we,
of kind of
it could
losing
always
out
be
for it.
it could be a type of disclaimer during registration, like 14U, there's a sign up for Park and Rec, but if the numbers from our side and in our league don't allow for enough games.
It could be very limited games.
the only problem then is then they might miss registration elsewhere.
Yeah.
so that's why I was wondering if maybe then for 14U, if you let them do it, but you do it
So-
based off of them going to CESFA.
Yeah, or we
And if
do
you don't
our
get
14,
enough, then-
yeah, like we just did, for our 14Us, then we'll play in stuff, so 14U,
Mhm.
because there's teams.
Mhm.
And then they just know it's gonna cost this, we can set our prices then for the 14U is gonna be, figure it in, you figure in extra then, and we'll have a 14U team if you're gonna play, and we'll know if we have numbers, cause after they sign up, and we'll send them up to CEFSA.
Cause then at least they don't miss that registration, cause that's earlier too.
Yeah,
What is our cost to register in the southeast?
nothing, they don't charge us to register. I don't
It
think so.
is
They did this year.
40 a team maybe?
Yeah, it was very
I'd have to
low.
look.
How many kids on the team?
Well, I had to pay a
Really?
check of $25
You did?
for Nora to play on that team,
so
cause
it's
our
25.
team wasn't registered this year, so it was $25 last summer.
Okay. Per kid?
No, I registered her as a team because
Okay.
our team wasn't registered
Okay.
for her to play on that other.
It's gonna be expensive.
So
Oh,
what?
yeah.
Parents are gonna have to know that upfront.
And we'll have to.
Probably twice as expensive.
Yes.
Because what would, we would need to charge more than the fee that we're paying.
Oh, yeah,
For just 14U though.
just 14U. And that way we can still,
But so then,
If
sorry,
we
I'm
have
gonna be
kids
the
that
devil's
cannot
advocate,
afford
but
that.
as a parent and financially, why wouldn't then I just register through SEPSA? Sorry,
but then you won't be able to play with your friends
It
unless you,
but that's not necessarily true because
That's
I
true.
can get a Lennox
You could
team.
register.
and-
unless you instead of you in parent grouped. Yes, you
Yes.
could do that.
But I know
Which
it's
is
round one
financially
and I'm
what our-
sorry, I'm gonna get.
No, I think financially, why not?
Right.
Why not put together my own team at 125
Because
a
I
kid
know why not.
instead of,
Yes.
Because then it would.
Yes, Kelsey.
So- Yeah, 'cause
Why?
I
'Cause
know
that-
why not. But I mean, that's not really fair either.
I walked over that.
Yeah.
That's why not. I mean, so then that's not fair though to those parents to make them
Right.
pay more to play in that league to go through Lennox.
Mhm.
I don't like that personally.
Is there something, am I missing something, a reason we would need to get something off the top and we couldn't just push them through? Say you get no supplies from us, no gear from us, cause most catchers at this age group
Have all their
have their
stuff.
gear.
If that's put out there, I guess we maybe could,
But then why would we be involved at all?
Then we
is
don't
my
need to be-
question.
yeah.
It's just to organize,
so that we make
so
the
that way there's
teams,
a point of
we
contact.
make the teams as a,
God.
instead of,
But
Yeah.
then they still have to, so then we're trying to find a coach?
Well, at
we
that,
would anyways, I think, right?
Favorite coach.
but at
I
that,
tore a muscle in my shoulder, actually, so,
but at that,
not joking.
at the 14U age, you usually have the ones who, I mean, everybody knows who should be the coach, who shouldn't, you know, I mean, you know by
I mean,
then.
that's just a different level.
It's
We
just
do
a-
need to
yes,
know. It's not
right.
like you can, anybody can really coach
Right.
8.
No, we need to figure something out, and I wanna make sure we have some clear marching orders for Trey here tonight, to have something to come back with in January, so that we can make sure we get registration done as soon as possible.
Yeah, 'cause you're,
My feeling is Legion has taken over 13 and 14 baseball. Why not?
The only problem
there's
is,
no Legion for softball
right,
though.
we still in Lennox
Yeah,
offer
But,
something.
okay, so I should say, we have,
Park and Rec doesn't offer
we
anything.
don't offer it for 13 and 14 boys. This is a clear opportunity to maybe get our hands off of that. I don't know why we would,
Because it's already trending that way anyways, right?
yeah, and we don't even know if there's gonna be a team next year or in the future years. There might be,
Well, cause we
but I
had to
just,
pretty much take from 12U this past year to make
Yeah.
the team, right?
14U has always been a challenge. to
Yes.
I think at the end I had 14 on my roster. The problem was getting them
To show up.
show up. Which is why girls go to Sioux Falls and play through CESFA and
Yeah.
coaches charge all these fees because then their parents are gonna make sure they get there.
If I'm paying $125, you're gonna show up.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually a lot, like the Sioux Falls teams, cause I looked at a couple for my younger ones, it was $2,500 for the season.
Yeah, for, and that's not Southside, that's like the teams, that's like the Fury, or the, I throw faster than you, or whatever.
Per
team.
kid, so, yeah.
And during registrations, I could have it on, like, we are barely fielding a team for that age, and having other teams is hard to find as well for the league we're in.
so what happens if we have 7 kids sign up through us, but now we don't have a team? They just
Yeah, now
keep
they miss
going.
the
And they miss the other
registration,
ones.
right.
Yeah, I honestly think we don't do anything with it until we know that we're gonna have numbers coming up. Until until we can forecast, you know, and then we can revisit it.
So what happens, so like we had 3 12U teams, what happens to these? Like, do they choose to go on to more competitive leagues, or do they just not play softball? Like, what typically happens with the numbers when it comes to softball?
This was my first year getting back into that age group, but back when I played, it was pretty much by that age group, we all just decided as a team to go to Sioux Falls together. And then if
That's at 14U?
yeah, I think it was 14U. Cause we played 3 years 12U, most of us were young enough to play 3 years 12U, and then 14U we went to Sioux Falls. And some of the girls went to different teams, they played in different teams, we ended up picking up girls from Beersford and Alcester, and pretty much he just posted on Facebook and then held a tryout, and it wasn't super official or anything, they just paid their registration fee and the cost of their jersey, but it was still way cheaper than those other teams.
I just would not wanna pay $120 either to Lennox and then have like 4 games, because we couldn't find competition in the Prairie Grass, or not Prairie Grass, the South either.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a good experience.
I remember when Hadley was with that 14U group, because she stopped after 12U, and it was the same thing. And a lot of those girls wanted to start babysitting. They wanted to start doing these other things, and softball was not on their priority list. Where you talk to all the boys of that age, and it was, everything's baseball. I mean, anything's baseball. So, I mean, it was just a different mentality, so I
I
don't
just
know.
don't wanna miss out on opportunities for people, but
Right.
I don't also wanna give a bad experience
Mm-hmm.
when they could get a better experience.
Right. I don't wanna hold them back, because you only get 7, and then they miss out on everything else because they miss all the cutoffs.
Do we, if we drop 14U, do we send out a notice early and let them know?
I think that's
I would
only
probably send it
fair.
out as soon as possible if we
That's
decide
what I
that.
say.
And
I don't wanna
I'm-
wait and then they can't get it on another team.
Right.
And I guess if we hear that parents don't want that, then I guess we can revisit it, but
It's gonna be late in the game. I mean,
Do you think we're gonna get negative feedback from it? I mean, based on conversations anybody's had?
I was gonna say, what I heard was just that there wasn't enough games, so
Right.
the consensus was they felt that we should probably go to Sioux Falls next year. Or sick, and that would have been mostly sick, well, I only had 3 that were too old for 14U. So, but they were willing to go to Sioux Falls and play 16U. Just to have more games.
Have
so.
you had any feedback?
Not really.
The only thing I hear, and this came back in some of our surveys, was, again, not enough games, and I think there's a lot of assumptions about why that was or what happened, but, we know what happened, we weren't contacted about
Yeah, they didn't let us know.
the scheduling. I would like to think that our being more proactive this year, knowing that that happened, means that we have better opportunities. But, I can't promise that, I guess. Not without knowing what's gonna happen and whatever that scheduling meeting is held.
It's a hard one for me, because I don't want
Right,
to make people, I don't want them to miss out on the opportunity.
right.
And especially, like I said, I under all the different pros and cons, totally understand. It stinks not to have, I guess, something through your town that's kind of like a cohesive,
Yeah.
these are my friends, I go to school with them, let's play together as a Lennox team. There's a little bit of something to be said for that, but if that's
And if
not
we don't-
realistic, then.
If we don't love going away from it, then we aren't really sure, when is the cutoff for CESFA's, sign up? Cause maybe if we do wanna see what we have for numbers, we could send out a registration, not a paying one yet, but just a registration type thing.
To hold
To the 12 year.
To kinda like, to see how many 14U softball we would get even.
Mhm.
I feel really good, like I would
March
motion,
17th.
I feel good about moving our 8U and 10U to the Harrisburg team.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a great
I think that's
idea.
the future. With all, I mean, I think we could do a 14 through Harrisburg and T coming forward and not have to deal with the SEFSA fees and stuff. I see that as being more, I see Sioux Falls teams playing just Sioux Falls teams, because it's just getting so big.
So,
If you don't wanna eliminate that opportunity, but we know we might price kids out too, just looking for the deadline. They do, if your kids qualify for free reduced hot lunch, Medicaid, or, the United Way Connecting Kids program, they'll give you $100 towards your registration fees. So, that wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing either if price is
That's-
part of our.
and then, does CESFA give uniform?
T-shirts,
But I mean, what would they need from Lennox? Nothing?
nothing. Like when we did it
So
before.
I thought we'd still be giving equipment and
No.
stuff.
No, they handed out equipment, they handed out everything, we went to the meetings, they handed out, you'd get like the old school catcher bag, duffel bags. And so you get that and that'd have all your stuff in it, and then you take your
So
box
this
of
is gonna
t-shirts.
come up too, if the 14U don't go through the Lennox Park and Rec, are they gonna be offered to, do they get to practice on the softball field?
Before they got when we did this before
I'm
teams
just
that,
bringing up all the
That's a
pros
good-
and
yeah,
cons.
yeah,
It's
a good
a
point.
good,
That's a
Well,
good question to bring up.
and before what we did is teams that didn't wanna go through Lennox and went off,
But if
they
we
had
don't
to wait
offer it,
till, they had
yeah,
to wait
if we're
until.
not offering it though, then
Right,
they should be right.
that would be different.
But then they would be on the schedule, and I know what the schedule looked like last summer,
Yeah,
and there was no open field
Right.
time,
Mhm.
so.
I just know that'll be more drama too.
So,
They would have, I mean, under our policy, I think they would have last pick.
But they would be able to without paying a fee?
If they're majority Lennox school district kids.
what,
Yeah, we
I'm
changed
taking this
that.
from memory,
125.
We changed
I
that last
think-
year, I think.
but I'm pretty sure if they
No,
are,
yeah.
if we follow the same policy the
Yep.
district does,
Yep.
if they are, if the usage is from within the school district,
Yep.
majority wise, then there's no fee.
Right, they just get
But
last
in
picks.
terms of, priority of usage, it would be Lennox Park and Rec programs, other youth programs, adult programs. And there's no, I mean, I don't think we even had church league this year, so the last tier in that case would be other youth programs, I mean, they get last pick.
But there's no fees involved.
Not if they're majority Lennox kids.
how close could,
School district.
how close for our registration could we get to 125, do you think? To have them go through us and not wanna go.
For CESFA,
Yeah. If they register through
what is it now, $40 a team?
I don't, yeah, that could be,
I need more information on what we'd be paying SF for sure. Price, what, how many kids, what we pay right now.
cause what's our registration right now for 12U, 14U again?
It was not, it was one.
It's 90, but it's gotta be it's 125, but I think it's going up to 140.
I think that was 14U though, I think you said 12U was 90.
I think you're right.
But for 14U then,
12U softball is 90, 14U softball is 100, 12U is going to 110, 14U is going to 125.
so 14U going to 125 is the exact CESFA price.
It also means that we would not have, I mean, for your work, for the registration sake, for whatever else there is.
You're not
There are
scheduling games
things
on the
that-
field,
Yeah, again, it's
hiring
scheduled.
umps.
Yeah. There's things that we have to take into consideration. I don't know enough about what we would need to provide and what we wouldn't.
Sounds like nothing.
Yeah, you won't have to do any scheduling for any games, anything like that, that's all done up there. Only thing that, if we were gonna do it, the only thing we would be doing then
Practice times.
is practice times and being a point of contact, so. And I could see why we'd wanna do this, for the fact that sometimes you'll get some parents that will try to take over stuff
Mhm.
and it'll run off other parents. And so, I know it doesn't happen very often, but so that way I could see as just an administrative type thing. And then and then it'd be through Lennox.
And that's the trick, is figuring out what the administrative fee
Right.
would be for us.
Right.
Because we could charge, maybe it's $40 a kid for us, and it ends up being $165 total for registration for 14U.
So should we try
But
that?
I think we need to get this fee right.
Right,
We can't just throw it out there and say, well, let's try this.
right.
So, I mean, whatever information you can get me for what we would need, what our inputs would be to this program, and what we wouldn't currently pay out, I can run at least a quick and dirty analysis on it.
And then if we make the decision to do that, I think it would be a good idea to put out an early announcement saying that due to numbers of girls, numbers of teams from other areas in that league, we're gonna be switching that team to the Sioux Falls League.
Which is an extra fee, that's
Yeah.
why registration is
Right.
a little higher.
Yeah.
So the registration is a little bit higher, and that's why you won't be playing Beersford, or, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But on the pro side, more teams to play, more games,
More competition.
more
More
competition.
competition.
Do,
Because at the 14, you lose a lot of that sandbagging that you get at the 8 and the 10, because they're all pretty, if they're playing, they're all pretty.
Okay, so then from your standpoint, sorry, you
Mhm.
guys are gonna call me, what was his name? I can think that just brought things up all the time, made our meetings go so up. Anyway. We're gonna
I'm
have-
not gonna say it.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna have 3 different leagues for them softball. We're gonna be involved in 3 different leagues.
It
Is
would-
that a pain in the butt?
It would be 3, so it'd be the T in Harrisburg for 8U, 10U, Southeastern
That
for
seems like a
12U.
headache too.
and
to
But
me.
South-
or the CESFA would be almost no work
It's-
after
right, yeah,
registration.
mostly just,
So then
Okay.
Trey can get rid of
but for
that.
parents to go through that,
Yeah.
I don't know I mean,
But I think that is a short-term deal, because I honestly think that we're gonna be able to get our older
I
kids.
hope, I
Well,
hope
so-
12U is just added to T in Harrisburg. soon.
Yes, I see that coming.
I hope, I can't.
Or
Do we feel
parents
like
have a
going
good
down-
experience with CESFA, and then we can get that feedback, and then maybe
True.
12U goes to CESFA. I mean,
8 and 10
we
is
have
Harrisburg
options
T,
both
and then
ways.
12U, 14U is Cessna.
Do we feel like we have a good pulse on what parents want in this case?
I don't.
So last year was just so negative, and like you said, people speculated, nobody really knew exactly, even though we told them what happened. That last year was such a bad experience for so many people that,
They just want something different, they don't know.
yes. And that's the
So-
feedback that I got.
Maybe. Maybe trade what we come up with and work toward, speak your mind on this, maybe we come up with 2 options for how we run softball this year. A combination of everything we talked about tonight. We hold parent meeting early January. here's what we got. What do you guys want? Give them some input, give them some feedback into the process.
Or would we get better feedback from a survey? People not having to
But
come
also
in.
Maybe
if we
we
hold
should.
a
It'd be nice
meeting,
to have
One
people
works.
there.
I just, because sometimes, to get people to come to stuff,
Yeah.
those usually aren't the people that complain, or they'll send a survey. I mean, the people you wanna,
You could do
Yeah,
I was
both.
but-
gonna say you could do
Or do
both.
both.
If they have an
Yes.
option to come, and
Oh,
yeah,
have
you could
both.
do both.
Yeah,
but
that would
Same
make sense.
day of
If we're-
the meeting.
If we're not getting the feedback that they complain about 6 months later,
no, they still.
what are we supposed to do?
but I also feel like if we hold a meeting to explain and people don't come, then,
Yeah.
I mean, I know we do this all the time, but
Mhm.
we've done what we can.
Yes,
to-
You've done your due
That's
diligence.
my point, yeah.
How soon can you pull a couple of options together with prices?
Soon.
So,
Oh, yeah, you don't work into this.
the other question,
It's not like you have.
I'm sure you have
Yeah,
other
right?
things to do.
my last question on the 14U, when is our deadline typically, and when is their deadline? Because do we need to open that earlier if we would,
March 17 was SESFA.
and when's ours?
Ours was like end of March,
I feel
beginning
like we
of April.
started-
So we
around-
probably need to move 14U to earlier registration.
Maybe
Yes,
this-
I
this
think I
last year
opened it up
went
a little
earlier.
bit, but I
Yeah.
also, it was open for a long time, so people
Mhm.
had time to
I
get
feel
it.
like
It was
it's
open a
been
long
long
Yeah, a
time.
long time.
And I
And we
think
still have.
I might have,
Yes.
might have moved it a couple times too, cause people forgot, so
Mhm.
I opened it again.
Okay,
So Trey will come up with some options and we'll
And-
have a meeting in January
Are we,
before the January park board meeting. Does
Mhm.
that work?
Yeah.
Or
is this
February, I
for
don't know.
all the way through, or are we thinking 8U, 10U is it for?
Yeah.
I'm good with
8U, 10U for
Yeah.
sure.
T
Up-
Harrisburg.
Yes. I think I think you run those up there. I think everybody will be happy with that. There's lots of games. There's good competition. It's not that far,
Right.
you've had good feedback, right, with that league? Like, I know you haven't personally
With
been
T.
involved with
Harrisburg?
it yet.
I don't know a ton about it. I think they just did it this past year with just each other.
And so,
And I talked to the guy that I know that does the T Park and Rec.
But they had numerous teams, I mean,
Yes.
Yes.
I think it would
Yes.
be around probably 9 teams
I talked to a guy from,
between us and the
Yeah.
other two.
so I talked to a guy from the T side and the Harrisburg side, and they both pulled out of SEFSA for similar reasons that I explained. And the overreaching of the fees and the lack of qualified umpires, things like that. And that's why they did their own thing, those two towns did.
do
And
we know
so,
what that fee is? For us,
For which one?
T. Harrisburg?
For softball.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had it, one,
No,
it
it's
was,
fine.
it was like $10 a kid, I think is all.
Oh, okay,
Wow.
I think
okay.
And that was just to kind of get money to the scheduler. And,
Make sure they administrate it.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was pretty cheap.
So I'll plan, do we want to set a meeting date tonight?
So 12U, 14U, find options and pricing.
Yep.
Get a presentation prepped, doesn't need to be huge, but here are your options. Let's hear what you guys want to do. I'll say up front, I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time at that meeting on what didn't go well last year, we know what
Right.
didn't go well
No.
last year.
Right.
And I don't think we need to spend an hour hearing about how terrible it was.
yeah, no.
We've heard this
How
already,
bad it is.
we already know.
It wasn't you.
Right.
That's what people thought.
I mean, wow,
That's right.
Okay.
So if we were to look at, do we do this on a Wednesday night when we know there aren't any other sports? It's church night.
I could come out there practice.
I was wondering if we aimed for like the 3rd, just because they're still on school break and there's probably no youth groups and stuff.
Is that enough time to give
I don't know, we'll get it together.
public
I know
notice?
that's like really quick.
Yeah, that's the other thing, we need to get the word out. Our next park board meeting would be the 17th.
So then,
So we could do it at like
Well,
5.
Well, you can do it the
Maybe
same
we're
night.
guys, can't we just say, hey, we're gonna be discussing options this
Yes.
night? Can
Same
softball
night.
parents,
Oh,
can you show
yeah.
up?
Yes,
Can we move our-
If you're interested
Just have the
in,
meeting the
have
same
the
day.
meeting same night.
Have it at the meeting.
Yes.
so they just come the 17th?
Yeah, we'll just let the softball parents know, hey, we're gonna be discussing options at the park board meeting on the 17th.
Yeah,
We need to
let's
come
do
to a
it.
decision, we need your input.
We're gonna have the open discussion at the beginning of the meeting at 7 o'clock. have everybody there, or 6 o'clock, sorry.
I was like, wait a minute, did we change the
No,
meeting
if we
time?
really want them there.
And so it'll be like 6 o'clock, we're gonna start discussions, it'll be from 6 to whatever, and then that we have a cutoff time. And then we'll just move on then with our meeting. I think that makes,
So we'll get, the word out on, we'll maybe have you send an email out to all the softball registrations from last year.
Okay.
We'll get, info out on the app, Facebook and Instagram, and, front desk for utilities. We might even do just a quick story on it, so people know, listen, we know you didn't like last year. We're here to talk about this year, make it nice going forward, yada, 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 just so you don't, again, I don't wanna rehash everything that hasn't gone well, which, if I'm being honest, seems to happen every time we have this discussion.
right?
Perfect, thank you.
All right, good. On to the next one. Baseball league. This is just discussion at least, so.
Should be, did you everyone get a packet of the email thread?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
This one?
That's what that was.
Yes,
Yep.
so that is,
okay.
the Park and Rec guy. And he did a bunch of looking into and research about, a couple options of a new league because the T, commissioner, or whatever you call him, he's out since T is leaving the Prairie Grass League, so the Prairie Grass League is no longer. So our options, does everyone just wanna read through it and then we can talk about it, or?
Sounds good.
So the Southeastern League is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know?
Sort of. Just connected, I recognized the name last week when we sent it.
Oh, yeah.
It just connected for me, so.
Is there a Corn Belt softball league?
Don't know.
I've never, cause that would be also, I mean, I've just never, just wondering,
I could check.
yeah.
Seeing the Summer Collegiate Softball Corn Belt League. Yeah, it's all, the other one is the amateur baseball Corn Belt League.
I like that Southeastern League.
I'm not done reading it, but that was my first thought.
That's what
Yeah.
he thought was the best option for Parker anyways.
I mean, just with the towns in there.
I think the other ones, the towns get tough.
Or the other one.
The MinDAC is
That's the Minnesota.
Baltic, Beaver Creek, Coleman, Dells, Flannery, Garrison, Hartford, Humboldt, Madison, Volga,
That's a lot of going.
Volga's Drive.
Cornwall, Salem, Canova, Freeman, Montrose, Emery, Alexandria.
Salem's 45, 50 minutes. Yeah, I think
And
the
all of
more
these-
difficult one is probably the Index, is that the one?
That's the Beaver Creek and
Yeah.
Baltic.
And all of these leagues are willing to take more teams?
Sounded like it.
And if I remember, like, the MinDAC league, maybe it said it, but they had, some teams were doing like two rec teams. Some were doing an A and a B, like older kids and a younger kids, when I looked it up. And so like Madison's, is that the one? Yeah, Madison's 14s would be at the top and their 13s would be at the bottom each year. And I didn't really think that was the concept that we would be going for. And then other teams in that same league were doing it how we were doing it.
And it sounds like the Southeastern League, the main guy would be willing to start scheduling and do a website if we join their league. If us 3 towns join them.
So
What
it's
are-
Lennox, Parker, and who else?
Canton.
Canton.
What are the other towns thinking? What
Uh,
are- Is it, or is
I
this
think-
all you've gotten
I
from
think-
them so far?
I know Parker guy wants Southeastern, and I think the Canton guy said that as well when we were emailing. And if we all choose the same one, we still get to play them as well. And I think he mentioned, I don't know if it was in here, I didn't reread everything exactly, but I think he mentioned we could probably have a little bit of say, like, try to get most of our games to the closer towns
Yeah.
if possible. But is Vermillion the farthest one away? So it's
Yeah.
not even.
It's not even that far.
awful, No.
I mean,
That's 45 minutes.
I mean, last year we were with Rhea's team, we went to, what's that town in? It's like southeast of Beersford, you know? Yeah, so I mean, that's,
Oh, yeah,
that's a
they're on
haul.
here.
I mean, so that's no different than going to Vermillion for, you know, I mean, time wise, cause that's all old back roads, so. I mean, I think I like playing the small towns versus small towns thing. The competitive, I've always liked that, instead of going to a conglomerate and, you know, but that's just me.
Especially, I think they voted last year that if you have more than one team, it must be split as equally as possible.
Yep.
I think that is at least a policy in place that I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think the MinDAC has that.
Right.
And I don't,
Cause that one, I think you can choose what
yeah,
competition you even wanna be in, which makes it hard to.
cause now you're gonna have sandbagging and.
Yeah.
And then I saw something about adding 8U.
I think that's if we would stay in the prairie grass.
Oh, only if
Right.
you stay in the prairie. It just said that all 3 leagues do have that option. See, Canton,
Oh,
8U.
yeah. Cause right now we just play each other, right?
Yep.
And there's-
Softball girls, 8U, they travel, boys do not, right now, for baseball.
And do you know in that league at 8U, is it still coach pitch?
I believe it is, and they might have those little
Oh, the
machine
machines.
thing,
All the little blue
they
tossers,
might,
yeah.
or it might be an option,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's, if that's for sure or not, but it's either that or a coach pitch, it's not kid pitch, I'm almost positive.
I mean, so is that something that we would want to then incorporate our AU in it?
Something to discuss, I think. Well, you had an AU
Mhm.
boy, what would you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine, it does kind of get, depending on how many teams there are. Like here, it can get kind of repetitive,
Right.
playing the same.
That's what I was, and even if it's a couple extra additions to not play in your own town.
I mean, I think it wouldn't be
And
bad.
Yeah.
for-
Even if it's just throwing in a couple
Or-
extra teams.
I, yeah,
make
I
it-
don't know if we need a full,
A full
Correct.
schedule, but
Right.
just, yeah.
but
And
if
we
you
could-
could get 1 or 2 games
It's been a
outside.
consistent comment of
Yeah.
a desire over the years.
Yes, I mean, I would agree, you don't need the same full,
Right.
but it would be nice to not,
Play the same.
Cause right now, I think we usually have 4 or 5 teams,
Yeah,
right? So we play the 4 Lennox, and then you play,
few others.
1 or 2 others, and that's probably a pretty good season.
And we
Right.
could probably let them know that even if it's against Canton and Parker,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
teams we were just with for,
the closest
Yeah.
communities, we don't have to travel far. What does softball do? Like, how many games do they play at AU?
We had we played.
yeah, it's
Really?
the
Yeah,
same.
there's a lot, yeah.
It's the same as the
Yeah.
others.
actually, for AU baseball, it might end up where one team gets to play Canton, one team gets to play Parker.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't think they have teams like us. I know Parker doesn't. So it might be, or maybe 2 of our teams get to play Parker, 2 get to
Right.
play Canton, and one or 2 teams get unlucky and have to go to Elk Point or something. So, sounds like,
It's Southeast, yeah. I think that's,
Yeah.
I think,
I think Southeastern is,
yeah.
We're gonna pull our girls out, put our boys in.
Well, but the thing is the Southeastern League, you know, if you had a commissioner
That would change a
take
lot.
hold like the baseball guy is,
would make my life a lot easier.
it would be a phenomenal league, because there's teams that wanna play. I think the disorganization is,
What do you think, Commissioner?
yeah,
Boy, still don't tell me you
It's gonna
haven't
be
won
me.
the title.
the commish.
do we need to recommend that at all, or,
I think
Or
we
like
have
a
a formal
vote?
motion that is
okay,
what the board,
Should we formal the AU and 10U to Harrisburg?
it just needs to be very clear exactly what you're asking for.
for softball?
Do that,
Baseball.
and baseball
Well,
one?
yeah, but softball we already did.
Oh,
Well, we didn't motion.
didn't
it.
We didn't
We
motion
motioned
that.
So we're gonna get the parent feedback on that one.
But I thought we motioned the 8U, 10U up.
I think we just
We
said it.
did not
Or should
motion
we-
it, we just said it.
Should we
Well,
table softball together and do it all at once later?
I would recommend the motion table the softball discussion until the January meeting.
Okay. Can I get a motion to table softball?
I'll motion to table softball till January's meeting.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so then on to the baseball.
What exactly are you asking? Let's make that clear.
With the Prairie Grass League, folding, it would be to join the Southeastern League with Parker and Canton, who also we were with for the Prairie Grass League.
Is that for all age groups?
That would be for 10U and 12U for sure, and we can discuss adding 8U if that sounds like something we wanna do,
What's AU doing right now?
just against Lennox,
Okay.
coach pitch, Lennox versus Lennox teams.
so,
So as of right now, AU will stay the same. That's what that motion would be.
so as of right now, I motion that we move to the Prairie Grass, or Southeastern, no,
Yep, Southeastern.
to the Southeastern. Because the Prairie Grass folding for the 10U, 12U teams, and have the 8U stay as is with possible additions to come.
Revisit
Okay.
AU later, yeah.
Can I get a second?
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Good. All right, last one, Sled Hill.
Out in the new development, there's that huge pile of dirt out to the,
Part of it's gone as of today.
oh, is it?
Yeah, behind our place.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of it is destroyed.
So,
And hauled away.
so so I'm sitting there, but it's still a decent amount of dirt out there. So I didn't know if that would be something, because there isn't anything around here where kids can go and
Right.
drag their sled to, and I'm not talking like full and clod tubing, I just like a fun place for kids to go.
Yeah.
That's a park.
We don't own it. That's the
Okay.
biggest challenge. Nielsen Development owns all of that.
Okay.
So whatever we do, they would have to agree to and have ample insurance for it.
You
Could we-
name it the Nielsen Park Sledding Hill?
And we need.
The other thing is it's gonna be gone and this will be our only winter with it.
Oh, and then
Yeah, so those piles are topsoil piles. So
oh.
as houses are built,
And we'll use
the
that.
black soil from that is being used for, so
Okay.
the house that is next to us that's being built, that's what they were doing today. They were clearing off the rest of that property, adding the topsoil.
Well, then, never mind.
And by next year, I
Yeah.
predict that thing being totally used up.
I just thought that's where they're stashing dirt they didn't want anymore, and I was like, oh,
No, they do have to move that quickly because they have permits for houses all along that block,
oh yeah.
so.
Okay, well, never mind.
Did we miss?
Maybe at some point.
Concessions.
But,
We
but,
missed
Oh, sorry.
but at some point though, if we could figure something like that out, that would be kind of cool, I think.
Yeah,
That would be nice.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. We'll talk about that
Add to
another
the
time.
future master plan.
Future master plan.
big hill.
Big
Alright.
hill.
I did skip one, concessions.
So I'm mostly wondering if everyone's okay with being on board with trying to get this switched to the softball baseball association, of what we would like, what we need to do to get it in the process.
Has LBSA discussed it recently or?
No, we have not had a meeting for months.
Okay.
But I would, I mean, we're only two people, but I would definitely ask them before you go through the work of.
That's kind of what we're asking.
Yeah,
thing,
I'm wondering like what phase, what we
I
need to do to get it kind of,
I don't think we want it,
oh,
but I would I'm only one person of seven. But you know what, we did have a meeting, you
I
left,
missed the last
you
one.
left.
My dad.
But it wasn't a
Yeah.
formal meeting, but I did bring it up.
Was there any
And-
support for it or?
No, there were only like 4 people there.
So did
So
that
we were
change?
missing
Cause there
Because I
was
thought you
support at
wanted
one
it, and
time.
then I thought the city council said no.
So we wanted one concession. We just wanted the big field concession. But now, I think the thing is to take all concessions.
I'm willing to do whatever is possible to
Oh.
get rid of any of them.
Oh, right. So, but the thing is that we were very limited we've had 3 people working it for the most part because the other members are coaching. So,
And if it did switch to LBSA, is that the right
yeah,
word?
yeah.
And there could still probably be a sign-up genius and volunteers for,
Right.
and I mean,
Similar to what Legion does, I assume Legion does sign up genius for theirs, you know?
I did, yeah,
Okay.
I did it for both
Yeah.
fields, the sign-up genius, so, I mean, it
Could
could also be that even if it was kind of controlled by your association.
I guess I would ask it, just at your next meeting, make a call on whether you're interested or not, because that determines whether or not we do anything.
Right.
Do we have the city's backing on it?
No, it would have to be a solid.
We'd have to
proposal.
recommend it at this point.
And then,
And it would have to make sense, I mean, we could go through, you know, the work that we put in to concessions, and have a full benefit analysis there, because, you know, you may see $5,000 in revenue, net revenue on our concessions, revenue versus expense, that is not,
Right, I get
that's
it.
not what we're
Right.
pulling out,
Right.
we guarantee it. That's not taking into account Trey's time,
there's,
the front office time, Denise's time.
So LBSA would also need to then go back and get an insurance policy and do all that stuff too, right? Just so I have all my
That was part of the discussion.
Right, that
with
was part of-
council, Yeah.
originally, okay.
And if possible, if it was an interest, both concessions, but if at the minimum, just
Just
The
even
big
one.
one.
I think part of the council, I think, didn't council want you to take both?
Yeah.
If you were gonna do it.
Yeah.
because
So whatever proposal that the park board or that this body puts together and says, city council, recommend doing this, you've gotta meet those core concerns that they had expressed initially, if you expect anything to change.
And I think they were all or none.
There
I
would be.
mean,
Cause did we recommend it at one point, it got to them and then
Yes.
they?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought, I couldn't remember for sure. That was probably.
And then there
when you guys
there's
started.
nothing further after that, and, I think there are ways to, minimize the concerns that they had, but I don't think there was any willingness to move on at that point.
Yep.
To make that happen.
Okay,
So basically, what we're asking, if that willingness is there, then let's start that work. If not, then we move on.
And if not, then we need to find ways to make it easier.
Make
Make
it
it
work.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, more efficient.
Don't get me wrong, I think Trey would agree, that last year was better than the year before. I think we would all agree that was better than the year before that.
Yep.
So it's gotten better, but it's still, it's a lot.
Did we-
Summer, I would bet concessions is at least half the work.
a lot of my time.
have you ever, done a breakdown of how many people actually volunteer? Based on who's signed up
How many different people?
and versus how many people, yeah,
Yeah.
like
Because a lot of it's Kelly.
50%, yeah. Like, it's
That's-
the same people,
I know,
and there's still 50% of the people that aren't volunteering.
and I can send out a remind link every 10 minutes, and
Right.
the same people, and I can't force anyone to go there.
I'd just be curious what that number would be.
I know.
It's pretty.
I think there's
I
some
know it
messaging,
is.
multiple work, like,
And,
yeah.
there's some messaging to do as well on, what this means for these programs.
cause is there a way to, okay, you never showed up, you never signed up, after the fact, here's your
Well, that's what.
$25 bill.
Well, we did that.
Right, but what he's saying is,
program.
me, I'm
Oh.
gonna say, I'll work, I'm
And then
not
didn't
paying
show up.
that, and then I never showed up.
Oh.
Or I never signed up even,
Right, that's what you're,
yeah.
That's not even an option, no. Don't they have to sign up for something?
Yeah,
If
'cause-
they're not a coach, they're supposed to.
like, you
Yeah.
have to, in
For a
order to
time
get
frame.
past that page, right, you
Yeah.
have to pick a
You
time.
have to
But
pick
do
something.
they ever sign up?
Right, that's the thing. There should almost be I don't know the games that early though, but just have them already pick
Have to pick a
Cause you have
date.
to pick a
Day.
week, right?
you pick a week, and then I send out a message to all those people, and then it doesn't fill up, so I have to post the link other places and send out more messages to everybody.
Start showing up to houses.
So is that the part that's the worst, is that part?
Well, and going to
Versus,
two
like,
different
filling in.
concessions every day to
Orders.
see what they need, what they're
Inventory.
short of, what's still good.
Is there a way
And
that
then
we
go to
could try
Sam's
and
Club.
help pass some of that responsibility on to the coaches? Like have the coaches say, hey, we need a team of parents to volunteer this week, and then make them try and help make parents be accountable?
You could try, but I think just trying to find coaches sometimes
Yeah,
is
speaking
very
from
difficult.
somebody, like, that's the last thing I'd wanna
Right.
do after putting in the nights of
Yes.
practice
Not that
and the
he would ever
games.
get a response, cause
Right.
I wouldn't have, but.
Like, it's hard enough at a basketball game to get somebody to run the clock, let alone
Right?
go to.
You know, but I think the messaging is, you're right there, because it's not just, summer concessions that has a problem finding people, it's all concessions, all anything, like,
And that's the
You know,
extra money that we,
and then
if
it's
we're
so
gonna do bigger
important.
projects, we
Yeah.
have to have concessions. And
yes,
There's a part of me that wants to say, well, listen, you can complain about not having extra projects all you want, but if you're also not showing up to do the volunteer work and help out with concessions, that's how we make these projects
Mhm.
happen.
That's
That's always been the case. And if
Yeah.
we're not seeing that money come in because we don't have volunteers to run the system, well,
And we can't do like,
I don't wanna guilt anybody, but that's.
but that is how, that's where
How
that
it
stuff
works.
comes from,
Yeah.
you know, everybody works works together for a
And
goal.
we can't do, I remember this was brought up last time, but like the football team or the whatever can't work it and then get a portion of it. Like volunteer to do it that way. We can't do that,
As a
correct?
fundraiser.
Yes.
You're not gonna get any money.
Right.
I also thought if it turned to your organization, it would be more profitable for softball and
Right.
baseball because you're not paying
Right,
all of us that
Yeah.
are doing it on the clock.
Are there any vendors that run them for a
Yeah,
price that would
there are.
be still profitable for us?
We used to do that, how long ago that was, we talked about it last summer.
The
He
T
doesn't.
person doesn't even do, he doesn't do the concessions either. He has some family runs it.
Yeah.
And
And that's basically.
T doesn't take
it
any of
as
the
well.
money either, I don't think. They just have someone else run it.
Does that person pay them though, to get into the
There might be a
slot
licensing
maybe?
fee or
Like
something.
I'm not
a
sure.
rental fee or
Right.
something to get in at least?
I'm not
Just
sure.
curious.
There's gotta be. You gotta get something out of it.
Unless
There's
they're-
a lot
Or,
more.
unless they're
or
just
they're
letting you do
getting the headache of, or not, the non-headache of it, not having to do it out.
And
And
having,
that's, and then they're like,
and having the concessions an
Yes.
option for families.
yes.
And that's their payment.
That makes sense, cause they use like Venmo and I mean, they take,
Yeah.
I think they take
Yeah.
Venmo and maybe even credit card, I can't remember, but.
Have we ever put it out there as seeing if there was a group or somebody who would want to?
When I grew
Or
up,
do we
that's
want-
how they did it. But I.
Probably as recently as 15 years ago, I
Yeah.
suppose, if I remember right.
So just so I don't go away with nothing, what, do we have a consensus of kind of what we're thinking?
I think we need to hear from all
We,
these.
yeah, we
Yeah.
just, we need to
And
know
then
what
if
they're,
they
what
don't,
they're
then we're
doing
gonna
and
have
then,
to figure out a way to make it work.
And it's a headache for me, but also it seems like a lot to not get much profit because of the hours that we're clocking in because of it. That's one of my bigger reasons even.
So we'll just wait and hear, whatever they say, we'll make a recommendation based on what they want.
and can
or
we,
how much.
and if we move on with it, can we streamline it to where we have less variety, but it just simple, this is what it is, you know, it's not gonna be your smorgasbord, this is the stuff, boom, done. You just rifle through it and it's easy to count, easy to, and just minimize
Standard
it.
menu.
that's what
Yes.
it is right now, and it's still a lot of work.
Now, I mean, we
Just
do
basic.
some special meals, tournaments, those kinds of things, but that's really about it. I mean, it's, there were times in the past where I think, you know, we'd come up to weekend, can we get, 900, I don't know, single-serve sunflower seed packets? Yeah, we can, but we've gotta order all of them, inventory all of them, get a price on all of them, and then make sure everybody knows that, oh, hey, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And that, more consistency you have, the easier it is for everybody to
Right.
volunteer too, so. They don't have to guess what the price is on something.
And then at the beginning of the year, have a price board out, like, everybody know, it's a big price board out, cause I know that's one thing people go, how much, and nobody, people, how much is this? I don't know, how much is this? Somebody would pop around, oh, that's $1, and then, so if there's a big boom, this is what it is, cause that's the one thing I noticed, you
Yeah,
get
it's all
concessions.
taped up there.
They are.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
a couple taped on it this year too.
Right, but they would be, people would stand in front of them,
Well, yeah.
or they, I mean,
And if it was, it might be more consistent people and a lot less of random people if it was random and not 100 different people.
yes,
We've wanted to do, a point of sale system over there for years.
yeah,
And we don't dare because we know it would be more work
Oh, yeah.
for the volunteers, and we probably risk losing volunteers. Even though we know that our controls would be a heck of a lot better. So, that would make it really consistent.
But
Not
I'll
sure
see
what it
when our
is,
next
type it.
meeting is. Hopefully we'll have it in January. But I'll bring it.
December 24th. Great.
Okay, motion, you want a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn?
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for the.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.